Sometimes I think perfectionism is the sneakiest, nastiest, most awful thing that can keep creators stuck. I'm not even kidding when I tell you that I was actually going to put this live stream right now off and go late and maybe go like half an hour late because my hair is still wet. And I'm like, oh, I can't really go on and do a live stream if my hair's still wet. How unprofessional will that look? Like, these are the kinds of crazy thoughts that can go through our heads. And at the end of the day, probably no one, if I had not said that to you, you probably wouldn't even notice if my hair isn't perfect, if it was still wet because I spent too long lying in bed scrolling Reddit this morning instead of getting up and having a shower in plenty of time so that my hair would be dry. None of these things matter to the people who are consuming our content anywhere near as much as they think, as we think that they do. And this kind of perfectionism, it has held me back and it has held so many of my clients back. People that I've worked with getting their Kajabi sites set up that are 2, 3, 6, 12, even multiple years into having a Kajabi business, and they yet to get things out there. Now, no shade, I get it. I'm going to tell you a story of how I sat on something for 2 years and it cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars in a sec. But I just want you to be able to get some inspiration. I'm going to share some things that I'm doing to help get over my perfectionism because it is definitely something that holds me back way more than I want it to. And let's try and get through this perfectionism monster together. I'm Sue McLachlan from the Unicorn Advisory, and today's episode of This Is What I Do If we are talking all about perfectionism. If it was holding you back, if it's holding me back, this nasty monster that makes things so much harder than they need to be. Now, perfectionism can be disguised. It's got a great little disguise in our minds. We think we're making things better. We think, no, but if I just make it better, if I just add more, if I just had dry hair and had perfect makeup, if I had everything set up right, my business would be perfect. I would make $1 billion and everything would be great. And it's the biggest lie that we can tell ourselves because perfectionism so often stops us from getting things out there. One of the reasons that I'm doing these live streams every day, even though it is an imperfect way to get in front of people, I know that a highly edited video without all my ums and ahs and flubs, and like yesterday when I had a coughing fit for 2 minutes, all of that, would be better technically if I had it edited into a polished video. The problem is, if I was going to do that, those videos would never see the light of day. Doing it this way in all its raw, imperfect form is helping me get more comfortable with being imperfect and showing up and actually doing the work than trying to create these perfect things that you want to, be the best. Like, you'll see people doing things in our industry and like, oh my God, they do that so well. I want to do it like them, without realizing the work that it takes to get there. And then when we start doing it, we get so overwhelmed that we don't actually do it ourselves because there's so much to do and we're only human and there's only so many things that we can do in the day. So I'm going to take you through a few strategies that I use. I'm going to share a couple of stories. And if you've got questions, if you have experienced this perfectionism, I'm going to call it a monster, holding us back or holding you back, let me know your stories because I would love to help you maybe reframe some things, and hopefully some of the things that I share will help you get your beautiful work out there into the world, will help you focus on what matters. And that is the people that you are going to be able to help with your knowledge, with your digital products, with your offers, the things that you are going to create. Because perfectionism can turn into procrastination. Well, it kind of is procrastination. It's kind of procrastination disguised as wanting to make things good. And when you want to be more productive, when you want to just make things better, often better just never arrives. Like I said, I've got a drive full of videos that have never made it to YouTube because of trying to make them this glorious like YouTube version of things, like the big YouTubers who have the big teams and they're, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for editors and script writers and thumbnail creators and all these things. And I'm trying to hold myself to a higher standard than what is realistic. But let me tell you about I don't know if I want to call it my most shameful story, because I've learned from it. I still haven't learned enough though, because I still keep falling into this trap. But I had a business previously. It was a product-based business that I ran for about 10 years. Selling cloth nappies. I created this business from scratch, cloth diapers, if you're in the US. The diapers were sold all over the world, I think about 40 different countries. And the product itself was super, super popular. But I had a lot of requests from people for a wet bag. A wet bag is a bag that you can put the cloth diaper into when you're out. It's made of the same waterproof material as the actual nappy itself. Very, very handy. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So I sort of started out I made a bit of a prototype, and I was like, it's kind of boring. Like, it's not fancy. It's just a wet bag. Now, because I was like, oh, it's just a wet bag, like all of our stuff was kind of pretty special and unique. So I had decided this wet bag also needed to have the special factor. I was like, all right, I'm going to create the best wet bag the cloth diaper industry has ever seen. And it's going to be special in a way. I didn't quite know what that was yet, but I just really wanted to make it special and have this thing stand out and be super awesome in the same way that our cloth nappies were actually, kind of revolutionizing the industry. So I was like, all right, well, I can't just have a boring one. It's got to be really good. So I sat on that, kind of kept trying to think of ideas. Like I had this prototype, like it was done, and sat on it for 2 years until it got to the point where my team almost did an intervention. They're like, I'm so sick of getting requests from people for a wet bag. Stop telling them to go and buy other people's wet bags. Could you just do it? And everyone was getting really frustrated with me because I'm like, oh no, but I want to try this and I want to try that, and some of my things weren't quite working. And so functionally, I was trying to get this really cool thing. In the end, just to get something out there to kind of meet the demand, I was like, all right, fine, we'll just use the original simple prototype. Now we started making that product, and it was, I don't want to say it was a bestseller. The nappies were the bestseller, but it was the most profitable item that we had. Made the most profit because it was a very simple design. People loved it. They had the bag that matched their nappies, so they could have, the fabrics and the designs and the patterns that went with it. People bought multiple of these bags just because they were really handy for other things, not just carrying cloth diapers. I still have these bags now that I use for traveling, or I use them to put toiletries in and separate my underwear and stuff. So it's a cool bag. However, my desire to make something special and unique and different and world-changing stopped me releasing it at all. And when I worked out how much money that we would have made in that 2 years of having that product available, when I looked at the sales after we actually brought it out, it would have been something like $200,000. Now that is just crazy. Like perfectionism and my desire to make something that was going to be world changing stopped me from actually getting that product out there into the world and selling it and giving people something that they wanted. Now, I do look back at that. There is a lot of lessons learned. The main one is I never went back and made the special, unique, wonderful version. We just kept selling the prototype because people were really happy with it. They didn't want something special and unique. They just wanted a bag that matched the fabric of their diapers so that they didn't have these mismatching things. And they were just like, I just want your brand. Like, I just want to have an itty bitty because all my other stuff is itty bitty. They didn't need to have something special. It was me kind of putting that pressure on myself. And that bag was, in terms of individual number of units sold, was the single biggest seller of the company over 10 years. Crazy that I just didn't just do it. And it's also, a lesson that sometimes good is good enough. I have this theory that, you can have good things, better things, best things. Like you can bring something out and it's good. As long as it's good enough to sell, that is where you should start. Then you can improve it, then you can make it better, and then you can optimize and make it the best version. But so often, good is enough. It's okay. You don't need to optimize every single thing. Now, one of the other things that I have found in my constant battle with perfectionism is sometimes I can't see it myself. I get so wrapped up in my own stories, in my own thinking, no, it's not perfectionism. I'm just trying to make something good. I don't want to put, bad work out there into the world. Like, I have high standards. I believe in high quality. I'm someone that holds myself to high standards. And sometimes that can get really muddled and mixed in with that whole perfectionism as a protection layer. Like, you can use perfectionism as a way to stop you doing things. Now, I have video anxiety. Oops, excuse me, my headphone just dropped. I'm very open about my video anxiety, but my video anxiety has often stopped me from doing things like this, even though once I start, I think I'm reasonably good at it. I can talk on camera. I can come up with ideas on the fly. I'm fairly well spoken. However, for some reason, that has held me back. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to push myself out of the comfort zone and do this live stream and commit to doing it every day. Because once you're like, hey, I'm going to turn up live at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, you got to turn up live because you've put that out there. But if you are making YouTube videos or doing anything else like that, wanting to start a podcast, I wanted to start a podcast for 6 years. And this week or a week and a half ago, I started a podcast completely imperfectly. I just stripped the audio out of these episodes and chucked it onto a podcast. Could I do it better? Probably. Is this actually allowing people to be able to consume my content in a way that suits them? Yes. And it's those things where you can always give yourself reasons why not, and you can always just make it so much more complicated in the name of making it good. So just focus on ways that you can get stuff out there, even if it is imperfect. Like, maybe even while you're watching this video, think of one thing that you can do that you've been putting off forever that you could do over this Easter long weekend. Just one step that you could take towards going, hey, look, this isn't the exact final version, and you don't even need to apologize for it either. You can just put it out there as it is and let it help someone. Don't let your fears of it not being this optimized, ultimate version hold you back. Now, sometimes you need someone to reflect that back to you. It's one of the reasons why I really love working with coaches. They kind of call you out on your shit sometimes. And sometimes it's the case of people outside you and the work that you're doing can see the ways that you're holding yourself back, the excuses that you are giving. Like, for ages, I didn't do anything because in the business, I was like sort of stuck in this paralysis going, oh, but I've stopped offering that. And, before I offer anything else, I've got to go and get rid of the 100 places that it's mentioned on my website and update all these pages and emails and do all these things. And then that became the consuming thing. And none of that is important. I could just turn the pages off and send them to a 404, as my beautiful coaches pointed out. But there's all these stories that you can tell yourself of things, and you can think they are more important than they are. So I really encourage you to seek out either within your peer group, sometimes not your family and friends unless they're in the industry, because they may not get it. Whether that's from coaches, whether it's communities that you're in. Sometimes you could even, brain dump to ChatGPT and say, hey, this is what I want to do. Where am I overcomplicating this? How am I making it harder than it needs to be? Could you give me a simpler path? There are things that you can do to make it easier on yourself, and look for the quickest way possible to have impact, to get something out there, because that is what matters. Actually doing the work, sharing your gifts with the people who want them, being able to invite people into your world, into your communities, into your programs. And if you hold yourself back from that, you're kind of doing a disservice, not just to yourself, but to the people that you could be helping. And I always try and reframe it into that lens and try and get out of it being about me and into, okay, well, how could this impact one person? Like, if I put this piece of content out there today and it helps one person, am I going to be really, really stoked at that? Probably, yes. Like, if you know that something that you do today or tomorrow, like really soon, is going to have a positive impact on someone, even if you have wet hair, even if things are messy, even if it is not the polished version that you envisage in your head, if that's going to be able to help someone, then please, please put it out there. Now, I have spoken already about my membership unicorn heroes that sat in limbo forever, and why I eventually decided to actually close it down. But that was, again, one of the problems. That was perfectionism holding me back. I had this grand idea. It couldn't just be somewhere that people came to get support with their Kajabi account, which is what it was and what it sort of existed for a while. I was like, no, it has to be the best. And I have to have all these things in all these different areas. And I had like 25 different areas mapped out and all the things that I wanted to do. But even just creating one of those areas probably would have taken me like 1 or 2 months worth of work. And I'm like, well, no, people can't just have the one area. What if they don't want to work on like a webinar, or they don't want to work on their like a challenge or whatever it was, the different things. I had lots of these set up. And then I was like, well, I need to have multiple. I need to have all of them available in case, you know, someone is working on their website, someone else is working on creating a product, someone wants to do coaching, someone's doing a community, like all the different things that you could do. I felt like I had to have all of them, and I felt like they all needed to be polished, which just turned into this incredibly overwhelming project that sort of sucked the joy out of it, unfortunately for, you know, I mean, I don't know if that ever would have seen the light of day because of how like grand that I wanted to make it. And also it was the decision of, am I going to do that? Like, do I want to do that before I start increasing the price? Like, I've got to have everything ready before I start increasing the price. So it went from this, should I increase the price? Like, well, I can't because it's not ready, but then I've got to make it ready. And then this ready became this huge thing. So wavering behind. And do you know what the end result was? It nothing. The end result was nothing. Nothing changed. It got stuck in limbo. And yeah, so I just want to share that with you, because sometimes it's easy to stop yourself from doing the things that are going to make impact, that are going to matter, and they're going to help people in your vision of this grand idea, that you want it to be perfect. And it's totally understandable, because there are people out there in the world, our mentors, you know, people in this course space that are doing millions, multi-millions, you know, 8-figure income, and we can look at what they're doing and see that as success and be like, oh, I want to have a launch like Amy Porterfield, without realizing that people like Amy Porterfield and a lot of the other big players in this industry, they have teams supporting them. They plan their launches 6, if not 12 months ahead, and have whole groups of people working on it with them. It is not Amy sitting in her office at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night doing the landing page for a webinar. Like, there is so much more to it. And when you're trying to do the same kinds of things that they are, if you're trying to create a YouTube video, you know, at the same level as someone who has an entire production team, or you're trying to put out as much content as, you know, Alex and Layla Hormozi, because they are like, you know, just absolutely prolific in content, you're going to burn out, and you're just not going to be able to match that quality because you don't necessarily have those resources behind you. So be okay with not doing it to that same level. Like, one thing that I always tell people to do, anyone who you admire in the online space, go and find their YouTube. If they are, you know, genuine enough, Amy Porterfield does it. She tells people to go and do it. Denise Duffield Thomas at the Kajabi event on the Gold Coast back in August, she did it. She actually brought it up on the screen. Go and look at their first content. Go and look at the first videos that they put out. Compare yourself to that, or the videos that they did in year 1, not the videos that they're doing in year 14 with an entire team to support them. It is okay for those kinds of things to grow and improve and change over time. You don't need to get it right straight out of the gate. You just need to share your gifts with the world and, you know, be okay with good work. Obviously, I'm not saying do something that's completely crap, but maybe you've got to go through that process to get good at it. The more you do something, the more you will get better at it. So even if you're not great at it now, you will 100% improve. If you could be bothered, go back and look on the Unicorn Advisory's Facebook page back in 2019. My first videos were tragic. I think there's 3 of them. I keep them up just because I want to have this as a memory, with no sound. Like, the first 2 videos that I did in this live stream, I didn't have the right microphone connected. But all of those things give you the chance to learn. All of those things give you the chance to get better. And the more you practice and do a skill, the better you will become. So it's not going to happen until you actually get the work out there, until you actually do it. So if perfectionism is stopping you from doing the thing in the first place, it's stopping you from improving. It's stopping you from building your skills and getting better and better at them. You just got to put in the reps sometimes in order to improve and get better, to build your strength, and to be able to move from okay to good to better and to best. All right. So I've talked a little bit about why I'm doing this live stream. I just wanted to tell you how I have gone from doing pretty much nothing on socials for 6 months to be able to do this every day, because it was a stretch, I'll be honest. The first few days I was like, oh my God, I've got out of the habit now, but I set times for them, for the live streams, even though it's not at the same time every day. The next day, like now, tomorrow's live stream is set and I picked a time. And the first couple of days I was so nervous I kept moving them, until I realized that what I was doing is every time I changed the time, it was deleting the event and creating a new one, and kind of messing things up on social. So I was like, all right, I'm going to stop doing that. But in order to get things out every day, I am using the tools that help me to make it easier. Firstly, for me, going live is something that I recognize as being a thing that will actually be able to help me get it done. I have had people suggesting, why don't you just batch it? Why don't you just record yourself as you're walking around? The things that I found myself having the most excuses as to why not, those were the things I didn't do. The live, I've done this before where I have gone live, and I've found that once I'm live, I'm good. If I wanted to release a course, a program, workshop, anything like that, if I set a date, I'll make it happen. So I try and look for things, look for clues in my past of how I could make it easier for myself to show up. Like I said, if I produced, beautiful quality videos and turned these into highly edited things with, images on screen, more visually interesting, all of that kind of stuff, sure, they would probably perform better. But doing this means that they are out there at all. And right now, I would rather have something that is out there. I would rather produce content that people are potentially able to resonate with, that might help people, than not doing it, than creating content that then sits on my hard drive because I get so overwhelmed with actually trying to turn it into something else. Getting overwhelmed with the podcast going, oh, but I've got to have good artwork and a description and all those things. If you have one day to get it done, let me tell you, you'll just get it done and you'll be okay with what it is. So for me, I like those tight deadlines because it's something that kind of forces me into action. However, for you, that may not be something that forces you into action. That may be something that oh my gosh, I've had a brain fart, that paralyzes you and stops you doing things. So think about the things that you've done in your life where you have got that, all right, I'm just going to do it kind of feeling, where you have got over the fear and you have been able to do it, and it's something that you feel comfortable with. Maybe that is not video. Maybe that's writing. Maybe you can commit to doing something where you're like, all right, I'm going to write. It doesn't even have to be daily. It could be weekly. It's doing the thing that feels like it's the easiest for you to help you actually make it happen. Tomorrow, I'm going to go through a whole lot of ideas on digital products that aren't a course, in case you're like, courses. Things that may be a little bit simpler and easier for you to create. Maybe that's a starting point. Maybe it's like that, break it down into the little steps. Like whatever it is for you to stop trying to make it perfect and just try and make it done. Like I give you that challenge. Like, what is something that you could do by the end of the weekend? Is it send an email when you haven't sent an email for ages? Is it put a post up on social media? Is it do a live stream like I'm doing? Is it just start the thing that you've wanted to start for 6 years and you've given yourself all the excuses and you're just going to start even if it's crappy and improve it from there? Like stop holding yourself back. That is my my kind words for you today. With these live streams, I don't have a perfect funnel set up. Like that's been something that stopped me in the past. I didn't create content for a long time on YouTube because I was like, oh, I don't know where I want it to lead. Like, I feel like it's got to have a job. Like it's, if I'm going to do social media content, I've got to have the right links. I've got to have a funnel set up. I've got to create content that matches the lead magnet, and then the lead magnet's got to be, perfectly aligned with the product that I'm trying to sell. Like all of those kind of things. That stopped me from creating content. For a while, I was doing all this research into SEO and content pillars. And I was like, oh, none of my stuff's kind of connected. I just kind of randomly do things when I get an idea. I should be more structured. And when I tried to do that, It didn't happen. For some people, yes, they thrive in the structure. For me, I strive in creating ideas on the fly and just doing something. So you got to work out what it is for you, but please just do it. And if you don't have, a funnel, if you don't have the content leading to somewhere, if it is not perfect, if you just want to be like, hey, I've got this cool thing and I thought you might enjoy it, without anything else, you could just send one email about it. You don't have to have a whole sequence. The most important thing is just to start to get that momentum, because momentum is going to lead to action, and action is going to have you working on those core things in your business. Being visible, being seen, growing an audience, creating valuable offers, digital assets that you can sell, and then selling them. Those are the core pillars of your business. And I would strongly encourage you to do those things instead of waiting for everything to be perfect. Keep working on them. They're never going to be perfect. There is no such thing as perfection. There is always going to be something you can optimize, improve. Different people are going to have different opinions on it. But until you start getting the reps up and till you start actually doing it and getting out there. And I'm so grateful to the people who have encouraged me to start getting out there again. You can refine it later. You've just got to start somewhere. So as you are thinking about that thing that you might want to do this weekend, and I really, really want you to please just do one thing, even if it is just one tiny step. Think about the person it is going to help. Don't think about you. Don't think about what's holding you back. Don't think about whether the thumbnail has the perfect colors, whether you've got the right software. Just think about getting something out there and think about how much joy that could potentially bring someone, what impact, what benefit that could have in their life, and use that as your motivation to help you get things out there into the world. Let me know if perfectionism is something that you've experienced. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're like, no, I'll just do it anyway. I don't even care about the outcome. I just want to encourage you, myself as well. This is an ongoing battle. Like I said, that story that I told earlier, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that I didn't earn, that was 10 plus years ago, and I still battle with this stuff. It's hand in hand with the whole imposter syndrome, selling yourself essentially, which is what we are doing when we're creating personal brand creator businesses. It's hard, and it's going to be a challenge that you're going to come up against again and again, but we can do it together. We can get out there. We can overcome our perfectionism. We can share our gifts with the world and make a glorious, glorious impact. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about things to do with courses that aren't courses. I have got so many ideas. I'm the ideas girl, and I've got loads of ideas that I'm going to share with you of things that you could create if you don't want to create a course. If you're like, I really want to create some new digital products, or I'm brand new and I haven't got started yet and a course feels a bit overwhelming, whatever your situation is, I'm sure you're going to be able to pick up an idea or two tomorrow in my session about this is what I'd do if I didn't want to create a course. But for now, I will leave you to enjoy your Easter weekend. My name is Sue from the Unicorn Advisory. If you want to follow the podcast, you can get the links and any resources that I've mentioned throughout this series at theunicornadvisory.com/this. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you back again tomorrow. Bye for now.